Back here on the Buffalo Wings Hockey Network with President, CEO, and all-around good guy Eric Haak. I'm your host, Steve Wright. This is the Pepsi Center Summer Review brought to you by Revision Hockey. Eric, this summer was probably the best in Wings history. Talk a little bit about what this summer was to the Buffalo Wings.
Every summer we raise the bar and we want to make it better than the previous summer. And, as an organization, we just seem to learn more and more every summer. There's things that we took out of this summer that, moving forward to summer 2010 that, we're going to implement. And it's just every year. I mean, you want to be perfect. That's what you work towards. And you never can be. So it's a challenge all the time, and it's a fun one.
The players seem to get really jacked up to play at Pepsi, but this summer it seemed to jack up the intensity also as the physicality rose. Talk about how that changes the tempo at the Pepsi Center, and then talk about how people have to adjust their mentality.
What do you mean, the physical play at the Pepsi Center?
Yeah, there was a few fights this summer, a few more than usual.
Yeah, well, you know what? In all honesty, I think that had to do with the changing that we went through with the officials. We got a little bit, started to run a little bit of a tighter ship, and some people weren't ready for it, and there was rules and there were suspensions that were followed through, and it wasn't just a slap on the wrist anymore. So, we got tighter with the rules, and some people couldn't live with it, and year after year, it's really the same people. It's the same people that complain about the refs. It's the same people that have problems with the refs, problems with fights. It really is. I mean, you get a couple of new faces every once in a while, but I would say a good 80–85%, the ref complaints and the problems, it's the same people.
Well, let's dive a little bit into the refs. You brought in perhaps the highest caliber of officials that the Buffalo Wings organization has seen, led by Chris Shamaga, who has both NHL and AHL experience. Talk about what that meant to the organization and how much credibility it brought.
Well, I mean, I think that it was big for the organization. I think that it showed that we showed our customer base that, hey, we do care. We're going to try to bring you the best that we possibly can bring you. And that was the whole thing with, bringing in Shamaga. I mean, I'm not saying that the guys prior to Shamaga didn't put in the effort and didn't put in the time, but like you say, I mean, you used the perfect word, credibility. I mean, we were able to bring in a lot of credibility just using his name alone and some of the referees that he brought in. I mean, you're always going to have problems with refs. It doesn't matter. You put NHL refs across the board down, you're going to have problems. That's just how it is. But it's going to be the same guys all the time. It's the same guys over and over again.
Let's talk about some of the individuals who stepped foot in the Pepsi Center this summer. Kevin Quick for Red Army, who played for Tampa Bay, and Tommy McCollum, the first-round draft pick of the Red Wings, played for Lords of the Rink.
I believe he had a couple of games with the Lords.
Now, roller hockey does not get a very good reputation when it's compared to ice hockey, but these are proven players who still play in our organization, and they lend their success to the Buffalo Wings as a stepping stone to the next level. Talk about what that means to have guys like that, guys with that caliber, play in this organization at the Pepsi Center.
Well, I think it's really cool. I mean, it helps to overcome that perception that people have about roller hockey. Such as, roller hockey is perceived as street hockey in a sense. And, we actually had a end of the season coaches meeting, which you were at, and we actually discussed that. And it's a process where it's not, you're not just going to snap your fingers and overcome that perception. It's a stepping stone. And, you get people like Kevin Quick playing in the house league, talking about it, loving it. People like Tommy McCollum that's going to play for the Detroit Red Wings, loving it. People like Vince Carcella, Corey Conacher, they're Division I ice hockey players that played for us this year. And people like that are walking marketers. Like a Vince Carcella, he's off telling everybody how much of a great time he had. And it's the most powerful form of advertising, which is word of mouth, because he's going to put his passion into whoever he tells about it and say how much fun he really did have.
Now, one of the interesting things that I found from this season at Pepsi was walking in on a Sunday morning, and instead of going, oh, shoot, it's Sunday morning, I want to be sleeping, the rink is filled with kids and their parents, and it feels like hockey. So let's talk about how the youth development is going for the Buffalo Wings and where that is going into the future.
Well, the youth development has been climbing, every year for us over the past few years. And, I mean, it's when you get involved with the kids, there's a couple of things you got to look at. One, you got to look at, obviously you want them to learn things, but, you want them to learn in a fun environment. And you want them to not really feel pressured. And you just want to welcome them with open arms and have them be really comfortable when they're there. And, if you do all those things, you're going to sell it to the parents. If the parents like it, they're going to tell other parents, and you get that word-of-mouth advertising that I just discussed earlier, and it's just the most powerful thing.
Now, I had the privilege to MC the final event for the kids this summer in the Learn to Skate program, or was it the Learn to Shoot program?
That was the Learn to Skate, yep.
And after the game, we had a nice little shootout, which I MC'd, and you were on the rink for that. Talk about the excitement that the kids had for that, having somebody announce them walking in on goal like they're a big-time player.
Well, the whole thing with that is you really got to change your mentality when you get into something like that, because, you and I, all summer long, we're around the top competition roller hockey in the world. And we tend to look at something like that and say, this is just a beginner league and this and that. But I remember when I was younger and I was just beginning hockey, and, you get little flashes where you remember just how exciting that is. Like, to them, they're building, a career or just even having fun. And, parents love it. I mean, grandparents were coming, aunts and uncles, brothers, sisters, and it was just a great thing to be part of. I mean, I could tell, you were even feeling the energy out there. So
that rink was packed that night. It was definitely bombastic, electric.
It sure was, man. It sure was.
Let's talk about Boomy for a second. Everybody loves the Boomtown Rats. Mark Dickinson, he left us to go train some military down outside of Baltimore. Talk about his presence at the rink, because it was definitely felt.
Yeah, it was great when Boom came. It just, it was almost like, even if there was excitement going, he just knew what perfect volume to turn the radio to, what song to put on for what situation, and he was just really the master. I mean, he was awesome. He was awesome to have.
And he'll be back again.
Oh, yeah, he'll be back.
Now, we got trophies sitting behind you, so let's dive into the playoff talk. Let's start with the teens. Again,